Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, would you look at that? It seems like the police finally did their jobs for the first time in, I don't know, ever? Well, in this case, we're actually talking about the UK police. You know, those guys and gals who over the last couple of years have been knocking on people's doors, ready to arrest them for posting something maybe slightly edgy on Twitter, or getting someone's pronouns wrong. Well, the authoritarian woke Gestapo in the UK seems to have given the anti-free speech crusade a little bit of a break, although it's not like they have free speech in the UK anyways, but they've taken a break enforcing woke fascism, and instead are actually going after the woke fascists for once. I didn't think we'd get here, but I guess we're here. A left-wing identity activist was just arrested on incitement to violence charges, hopefully a warning shot to the rest of these leftist extremists who are constantly doing the exact same thing and getting away with it. Let's have a conversation about leftist extremism. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, take a look at the beautiful headline, About Damn Time. Trans activist who served 30 years in jail for attempted murder and told London crowd if you see a TERF punch them in the face, arrested for incitement to violence. Let's start off with the context first. Here's the event.
I was gonna come here and be really fluffy and be really nice and say, yeah, be really lovely and queer and gay. No, if you see a TERF, punch him in the face.
Now, I am a free speech absolutist. Well, almost absolutist. I think you should be able to say pretty much whatever you want lawfully, except I think we should probably draw the line at incitement to violence. I think that's a lot of people's standard, that's probably the majority view, and that to me right there not only seems like legitimate hate speech, not the nonsense that leftoids are always going on about, but it seems like a direct incitement and call to violence. You know, if any laws on speech and extremism are going to be enforced, these are probably the instances where something should be done. The whole bash the fash concept on the left, thankfully enough, this individual was arrested.
4:50 p.m. At this time, I'm placing you under arrest on suspicion of inciting violence. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention, when questioned, something which you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. The necessity for the arrest is to conduct a prompt and effective investigation and to prevent any further attempted harm to yourself or anybody else. Have you got any response that you'd like to call?
Yes.
Okay.
Trans rights are human rights, one struggle, one fight.
It's cuffs okay like that, you're not too tight now.
That's fine, officer.
Relatively loosely. Feel free to have someone, we will be going down to Charing Cross Police Station. If you want to have someone follow you down, you're more than welcome to. And custody sergeants will explain everything from moving there forward.
Trans rights are human rights. They won't get rid of us. Our existence is our resistance. You remember that?
Can I come in the car with that?
And here we go with the bot talking point. Trans rights are human rights, one struggle, one fight. You know, I'm just sitting here once again, totally confused. What are you talking about? Like, what is it that you want? You know, I'm a little bit of a sympathetic person. I want people to live their lives. I want people to be happy. And of course, I want everyone to have full rights. I don't want people to get discriminated against. But in this case, I'm legitimately confused. What rights are you referring to? This constant left-wing sloganeering. Trans rights are human rights. Yeah, of course they are. You have literally the same rights as anybody else. You know, please define it. There's no worldview here. The worldview seems to be bash the fash and punch TERFs in the face. You know, you have these leftoids seemingly fighting this big evil, but the only evil that I see are the people who are calling for violence, targeting individuals with slightly different views on some of these cultural issues. I mean, what is a TERF? A trans-exclusionary radical feminist. It's a ridiculous gaslighting term. TERFs are not radical, although you could argue they are exclusionary in women's spaces. You're talking about women who are focused on women's issues, who don't believe that women's spaces should be shared with men who identify as women, specifically in female spaces that they believe should be protected, like bathrooms, prisons, and of course female sports. This is not a radical viewpoint. Actually, it's the majority viewpoint. A Gallup survey pretty much confirms that. This data comes from roughly a month ago, back from the 12th of June 2023, where nearly 70% 70%, up 7 points from last year actually. A large majority of Americans, now 69%, more than in 2021, 62%, say that transgender athletes should only be allowed to compete on sports teams that conform with their birth gender. Likewise, fewer endorse trans athletes being able to play on teams that match their current gender identity, 26% down from 34%. So you're talking about a majority view here, and sporting bodies across the globe are starting to get the message. Victory for sanity, biological men are now banned from competing as women in global cycling, will now compete in a brand new separate category. So I guess you could argue that it's exclusionary. You certainly cannot argue that it's radical, extreme, or a minority view, but supposedly the message that we're getting from these extreme leftist activists on these particular issues is that we should not only accept, but we should endorse and engage in violence against women who hold these views. I mean, that's insane. And if you're standing up on a stage, yelling through a megaphone or into a microphone, or yelling at the top of your lungs to a crowd of angry protesters, calling on the crowd to inflict violence on women who are probably sympathetic to your cause but have slightly different opinions on certain nuanced situations, well then you should probably be arrested. That goes beyond free speech. That's literal terrorism, or incitement of terrorism, using terror and intimidation to achieve political ends. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, F around and find out. Hopefully police departments across the world and the coppers in the UK are starting to wake up and smell the coffee, starting to realize where the real violent extremism is coming from. It's not a soccer mom making edgy tweets. Oi, stop right there, criminal scum! That meme was illegal! Excuse the absolute horrible accent, but how about less of that and more of this? In general, across the Western world, how about we enforce actual laws instead of going after political enemies of the state? How about we pay attention to the non-stop viral headlines of leftist violence and extremism, like, I don't know, this one. Photojournalist brutally attacked with a glass bottle after NYC Pride suffers brain bleed. How about we focus on the numerous assaults, calls to violence, incitement of violence, both on Twitter, Facebook, various different platforms, and in real life in public? How about we focus on the fact that we have activist terrorist groups engaging in intimidation terrorist tactics across the Western world under the guise of being anti-fascist? How about we remember that a simple, innocent Trump supporter in Portland back in 2020 was indiscriminately assassinated on the streets by a leftist extremist? How about we remember how many mass casualty events have taken place in the name of this leftist cause just this year? And it's all gone all unchecked, totally unchecked. These groups act with near impunity. In many cases, they act with support of local governments and sometimes the federal government, depending on the administration, depending who's in power, and depending what country. But the world should wisen up. It's about damn time and take the Texas and Florida approach. The very simple approach of F around and find out. It may work in Portland, but it sure as hell isn't going to work here. There's no other common sense approach, period. It's been time to start taking this leftist extremist march seriously. And really, it's not like it'd be hard to identify and clamp down on. They're all operating totally in the open. That's what I got for you guys, though. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. You know that we'd love to have you here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.